Would you like to know why Jordan Peterson's concept of bearing responsibility is correct? Then listen to this entire video where I explain how this concept of bearing responsibility for humanity aligns the human psyche with the underlying structure of reality. Before we get into this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Let's get into it. So I would consider Jordan Peterson's flagship concept to be take responsibility. Carry the burden of your suffering, pick up a load and carry it. He argues that humans will find meaning in taking responsibility, and I think that is correct. So he substantiates his claim that you should bear your responsibilities because that is what the apex of Western civilization is founded upon. Jesus Christ, who is at the pinnacle of Christianity, so the role model of the value system that the West is founded upon, he took the suffering of humanity upon himself and hence consequently redeemed humanity. So in short, Peterson is alluding to something actually far deeper than just bearing your responsibility. There is something about responsibility which we're not quite seeing here, which is, however, making bearing your responsibility the most valuable thing potentially, according to Christianity, something like that. Now, but one of the most valuable things. So, in Christianity, there is the concept of responsibility, but it is not just any responsibility. Christianity promotes the idea that humans should emulate the behavior that Jesus acted out because that will lead humanity to redemption. Now, I would say redemption here is sort of, in a simplistic way, one could say it is moving away from suffering and towards something that is good. Now, what the good thing is, we're not quite sure. Maybe it is meaning in life or something divine. Okay, but the thing is, Jesus did not just bear any responsibility. He bore the responsibility of the entirety of humanity. But does that mean humans need to bear the responsibility of all humans? The answer is yes, mate. Okay, but wait, does that mean, firstly, that seems impossible, right? And secondly, are we even responsible for people who are on the other side of the world? I have contemplated these questions before, and I've heard the concept of bearing the responsibility of humanity before, but I always thought, especially in regards to Christianity, but I always thought, no, I have no influence on somebody or somebody living in Japan, right, on the other side of the world. But that is not correct. That mindset is insufficient, and here is why. So, I think there is evolutionary value in the Bible. In short, if you listen to the meaning behind biblical stories, it increases the rate of your genetic survival. Like Christianity is somewhat primed to make people survive, so move towards heaven and away from hell, figuratively speaking, because hell creates suffering and you die earlier, something like that. If everybody adopts the attitude that they are responsible for everybody else, then everybody starts behaving more kindly, respectfully, and shares resources. Hence, the aggregate level of suffering decreases and well-being rises. Very simple. But that's not all. That's not the reason why you should bear the responsibility for the world. The fact is, you actually are responsible according to the nature of reality. So I have two quotes from The Brothers Karamazov, which is a book written by Fyodor Dostoevsky, which is a book, a novel that Jordan Peterson himself highly recommends, and I also highly recommend it. So in the book, there is a father, a figure called, a person called Father Zosima, and he is sort of the pinnacle of, let's say, the spiritual group in the book, a highly renowned, looked up to person, a highly respected monk. Now, he tells a story of of his childhood, and he talks about his brother, and his brother is about to die, and his brother did the following. So the quote goes, "My brother asked the birds to forgive him. That sounds senseless, but it is right. For all is like an ocean, all is flowing and blending. A touch in one place sets up movement at the other end of the earth. So what he's saying here is one little movement creates ripples, like a butterfly effect, and influences people on the other side of the world, or essentially the entire world. And I think we all have the possibility to influence people around the world. It's essentially like the butterfly effect, It's like an ocean with infinite ripples. And Jordan uses this argument also. He says, people in Western civilization know on average about 1,000 people, maybe a bit more, across their lifespan. That means you're 2 people away from influencing 1 million people, because it is 1,000 times 1,000, and you are 3 people away from influencing 1 billion people. That's 1,000 to the power of 3. Because what that is if you have one person, they know 1,000 other people, and then if you have another person, they also know 1,000 other people. So it's 1,000 times 1,000, because it spreads out like a network. So don't underestimate your ability to influence people, or influence the entire world, essentially. And nowadays with social media, you can reach even far more people instantly. And we've seen this with many trends like Coney 2012, presidential elections, internet crazes like planking. They've started out as small posts, and then they have blown up on a global scale. But not even just social media. Reality is far more complex and interconnected than we see and think. We don't even know how intertwined it is, but we know it is very intertwined. You know how the rest of your life can change within seconds. You might go out into the street, bump into somebody, talk to them, they give you their business card, you contact them, you go and work with them, you make millions of dollars, you fly out to the US and you live there, and your whole life completely shifts, all because you walked out onto the street. And these are situations that are happening continuously in your life. The key here is that the tiniest, minute of influences, situations, variables can alter your life in life-changing ways, and that is occurring to you permanently. It is difficult to pinpoint the process by which something leads to the next, like getting the business card might have also led to something smaller, which was also awesome, or something small like drinking a tasty cup of tea in the morning made by your spouse, which inclined you to enjoy the lovely day and go outside, and then you bumped into that person with the business card. Hence, reality is extremely intertwined and complex, and we do not know what influences what, especially even in regards to the psyche. Where do dreams come from? Where do random thoughts come from? I don't think they are random, but we just don't know, but it is all so interconnected. So, from that, we know that you can be influenced in drastic ways by small things. Okay, well that means you have the opportunity to influence people, other people in your life, in life-changing ways too. Obviously, the way in which you influence them can be both good and bad. So you can push people towards suffering with bad conduct, and you can push them towards well-being with good conduct. So the fact that you have the potential to help people positively in small ways that change their lives means, bro, you should do it. You should take the responsibility of other people's well-being. And this is the reason. What I'm about to say is actually the evidence, or not the evidence, but I would say the reason, the cause why you should take the responsibility. The thing is, you do not actually get to choose whether you are influencing people or not. You are influencing them all the time. So it's not a question of whether you choose the responsibility if you like it. No, it's actually a question of whether you open your eyes and realize that you are influencing people all the time, and you should take responsibility for how you're influencing them. So there's another quote here by Father Zosima in the Brothers Karamazov. He says, "Believe me, everyone is really responsible to all men, for all men, and for everything. In truth, we are each responsible to all, for all. It's only that men don't know this. If they knew it, the world would be a paradise at once." And Father Zosima says this right before his death. So he's a respected clergy, and he encapsulates wisdom, real life wisdom. So he's saying that if people just open their eyes and realize that they are responsible for the entirety of the world, then we will move to a better place. Let's at least put it like that, Thus, the reason why people hesitate when you tell them that they are responsible for the well-being of the world, the reason they hesitate and don't understand it is because they do not comprehend how their behavior is continually influencing the world. And you need to think of it a bit like this. I made up this metaphor. The world is like a pool of water with you inside of it. If you move a single tiny muscle, the water around you will move and there will be ripples across the whole pool. Hence, by default, when you do anything, the rest of the world is influenced by it. Boom. That is why you are responsible. Not because you want to take responsibility or you don't want to take responsibility. It is because you are influencing it, the world, whether you like it or not, by default. Now, whilst I was reading The Brothers Karamazov, Jordan Peterson says you should read these books that he recommends, like other books by Dostoevsky, because they change your mindset. They shift you, they change you. And I thought, well, how is a book going to change me? But goddamn, was he right. Whilst reading it, my psyche changed. I was having these revelations on the structure of reality, what God meant, the concept of God, what good and evil means, but specifically what the conscience means. And as you continue reading this book, you start understanding things. It's like the book is a portal to understanding human nature, human being. It is very potent. Highly, highly recommend it. So in conclusion, Jordan Peterson's concept of bearing responsibility, especially the responsibility of the world, is correct because you are actually continually influencing the world, whether you like it or not, with your behavior. Through, you can understand that through concepts like the butterfly effect, or thinking of the world as like a pool of water, an ocean, and where you move, there are ripples that move across the entire pool or the entire ocean. So that is why you should bear the responsibility, because you have the possibility to actually influence the world in a positive way. And if you can do that, you should be doing it, because the value out of that can arise out of that moving people away from unnecessary suffering and towards something meaningful is probably the most valuable thing one could do as a human. So please leave a comment below whether you agree or disagree with my argumentation that we are always influencing people or the entire world continuously in life-changing ways, and that because the world is so sensitive that you are shifting the trajectory of humanity permanently, whether you agree or disagree with that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to learn more about self-development, dating, Jungian psychology, and how to reduce suffering in life. Thank you for listening.